Welcome back to PRN Test Drive. I'm James, and I've spent the entire week with this 2025 Mercedes-AMG GLC 63SE Performance. I know, it's an absolute sentence of a name for a vehicle, but I think as the vehicles get more complex, so are the names. Seems to go hand in hand. Now, Victor did a really good in-depth review of the GLC 63, but when I was watching that video, I thought to myself, this vehicle might actually qualify for what I like to call dad speed. Now, what I mean by dad speed is that it's kind of an enthusiast vehicle that you can use with the family every day. It's not something you have to park up in the winter. It's not something I have to use my wife's car because I don't have space or accommodations for my daughter in here. So this kind of has a lot of things that qualify for dad speed. So to qualify for dad speed, you need a few things. You need to have a decent amount of room in the rear, also a decent amount of room in the trunk. I need to be able to fit my car seat, and I need to be able to fit at least one stroller in the rear at the moment, at least. It also needs to be able to absolutely rip, and I think it can do that. I think there's no secret. I think this thing can absolutely do that, but at the same time, it needs to be comfortable while my daughter's in the car, so the ripping part only needs to be there when I'm by myself. And it also needs to have some type of quiet start mode, so that way when I start my car in the morning and my daughter's still sleeping, it doesn't wake her up from the outside. And I think the GLC 63 SE Performance has all of that and a little bit more, with some compromises that you might have to make, but it's the closest to a perfect dad speed score that I've seen so far this year. So I'm gonna take you through absolutely all of that, show you what it's like if you're a dad like myself and you wanna buy a vehicle that absolutely rips, like this GLC 63 does. Let's get into it. So this GLC 63 SE Performance is powered by a handcrafted AMG 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbo engine with an electric exhaust gas turbocharger, which basically means this is a bigger turbocharger, and that electric component allows it to spool up a lot quicker, eliminating a lot of that early end turbo lag. So when you want to absolutely rip this thing, it just goes. And we also have a rear 150 kilowatt permanently synchronous electric motor, because as you know, this is a plug-in hybrid system. Now, as for the actual usable capacity of the battery, it is a 4.9 kilowatt hour usable, ultra lightweight, high performance battery, which is capable of about 14 kilometers on a full charge, but I've seen around the 17 to 18 range, so that's pretty good. Now, I guess you can make the argument that this is a small battery for a plug-in hybrid vehicle, but I think it's more oriented towards performance, and it's got some F1 technology where it'll kind of charge the battery by itself in race mode, so it's always available to deploy at some point or another. Now, all in combined gas and electric power, you're looking at 671 horsepower, 752 pound-feet of torque. So when I say it absolutely rips, I am not kidding. That power is delivered with a 4MATIC Plus system, which can send 100% of power to the rear. And even though that electric motor is mounted in the back, it can still power those front wheels if needed. Transmission here is an AMG SpeedShift MCT 9-speed auto, very fast, very responsive, and we also have a second gearbox with the EV motor. You actually have a 2-speed gearbox in the back, but that second gear only kicks in when you reach 140 kilometers an hour. Now, for legal purposes, I was not able to test that second EV gear because that's just crazy speed for the public roads. But even if you never reach that second gear, just trust me, this thing rips. Enough talking about it though. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so another dad speed factor is, does it have a quiet start? Well, let me show you. Let me start it up right here. That was all interior noise. You heard nothing on the exterior. Also, it just choked me because it yanks the seatbelt when you start. But there you go. That's how a quiet starts. And now I can just get on the road here with absolutely no problem, and I'm quiet. So I can leave the house quiet. I mean, the brakes do squeak a little bit because they're performance, and I've noticed they tend to like to really squeak in the morning, but that's not enough to wake up my daughter in the morning. So look, I'm just in completely full EV mode because this is a plug-in hybrid vehicle. And the beauty of it as well is I never actually have to really plug it in. It's not a plug-in hybrid that I actually have to plug in, because if you drive this like you should, and you drive it like in individual mode or race mode, it's actually using the engine to then put power back into the battery, so that when I want to go back into fully EV mode or just comfort mode, which is usually mainly EV mode, it's fine. I have battery to do it. And then, you know, when I want to get up and have some spirited driving, right back into individual or race mode or sport mode or whichever mode you want, it'll put power back into the battery, no problem. And it also will do a little bit of that when you're braking and stuff as well. So like, it's kind of perfect for that. So it can be quiet and it can be comfortable, because it is so far comfortable, but I'll touch more on ride quality in a little bit, because right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fire this engine on, we're gonna put it into race mode, and I am going to rip it here, because I really like the feeling when I actually fire the engine on. There's a distinct like click, and you can feel it, and you kind of want to feel it. It's a powerful vehicle. So let's rip this thing. Oh my God. Okay. Yep. That's enough to get me arrested. I mean straight up. That's just ridiculous. It absolutely fires well over 600 horsepower, well over 700 pound-feet of torque. Ridiculous. What more could I ask for? And I can't believe I'm sitting here inside of an SUV and it can do that. So it's using the battery and an engine. No, it's not a V8. Okay, you can make the argument that it's not that loud, but I'm sure that you could probably modify this thing to change that. Number one, would I like a V8? Sure. Would I trade horsepower for a V8? Sure. Do I absolutely care that it doesn't have one? No, because it does everything else so well. I've got enough room for the trunk space and the rear space that this is just fun to rip around, and I just can't get over the fact that it's an SUV. This is probably one of my favorite SUVs to drive all year. So usually when the engine is running, like it is right now, the hybrid system is basically just putting power back into the battery, because I do also have a boost button in which I can press it and it will give me even more power from that battery. Basically, I think it allows the battery just to go absolutely full bar. So here we go. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I'm at highway speeds and then some without really even trying. It's just so fast. And usually, I'll be honest, I'm in individual mode or race mode or some type of high-powered mode, because that's the way I think that this thing should be driven. I think that's the way that it's intended to be driven, except for when my daughter's in the car. I put it in comfort mode, I let it do it. If it wants to go on gas power, it will. If it wants to use the fully electric, it'll just do it, and it's really, really comfortable when that happens. So I think the hybrid system can become a little complicated to understand at first, like what's the battery doing? Why don't I have to plug it in? But once you spend like a good amount of time kind of understanding it, which is something you will do, especially if A, you're an enthusiast, and B, you're gonna own this car for longer than a week, you'll fully get a grasp. You'll probably understand a lot more than I ever will spending a week with this thing. It is a little on the complicated side, but again, long-term ownership can probably help with that. Now, let me talk to you about handling, right? Because it's awesome. I mean, it's like go-kart level awesome. And again, I'm talking about an SUV. I'm sitting inside of an SUV and it handles the way that it does. Like, it doesn't have any business. It does have rear axle steering. It does have 3 stages of adaptive damper. So all that's really helping it. There's somehow like some type of voodoo magic they've done, and there's like almost no body roll. Like, I'm gonna rip it and like kind of get around this traffic here. Like, I can feel the weight shift, but like for a plug-in hybrid, this thing is insanely nimble. Like, just insanely, like, I could take turns at speeds. It's fast in a straight line. It feels fast in the corners too. How are they doing this? Like I know that they have technology, and this car is loaded with different moving pieces and, you know, rear axle steering. So I'd absolutely hate to be driving this thing off warranty, which is why I think a lot of people will probably lease them. Because if something breaks on this juiced up 4-cylinder engine, it's gonna cost, because the vehicle's already expensive to begin with. So to have something break, nightmare. Wouldn't want to deal with it. Hopefully it never happens. Hopefully it's reliable. But my God, the feat of engineering that it is to get that much power from an SUV, from a battery and an engine, and not even make it a V8, you have to admit, even if you're like a V8 purist, Mercedes have done something impressive here. You can't deny it. So, like I said, ride quality is really, really good. It is so good that, like, it's, again, surprised me again. Like, I can go back into comfort mode and just let the electric take over. It's also quiet as well. The seats up front are very comfortable. You can option like some more racing seats, and honestly, I'd probably do that. But you don't have to. These seats are very comfortable, no problem. But just the ride quality without it, I think that's why I could probably get away with getting the racing seats and I'd still be fine, because the ride quality is just super solid. You do feel some of the heavy potholes here in Quebec. I mean, I drive through craters, right? My spine looks like a racetrack from driving on these roads all of my life. But look, I'll do it for this. This is okay. It's like a slight compromise, because it's not, of course, it's not Range Rover quality or ride quality, but like it's still good enough that you're gonna get to the grocery store back and your back isn't gonna hurt. And I've spent like pretty long trips in this car and really had no problems with, like, you know, my back doesn't hurt or anything. I mean, you got to adjust the seat properly, but if you do that, fine, no problems. So let's touch quickly on the front seat. I know I already told you about the back seat, plenty of room. There's plenty of room in the front too. I'm super comfortable, like I said. I love this carbon fiber steering wheel. Love, love, love it. It's the AMG carbon fiber steering wheel, so I have the ability to shift through my drive modes on the steering wheel. I also have the ability to press the boost button and stuff like that. Just different little things that I can do. And it's all these controls on the steering wheel. So I have quick access little things. I can turn the traction control off. I can put manual mode on. I can do all these things just right on the fly. I also have little paddle shifters as well. The one thing that I think most people won't enjoy, and that I don't always enjoy here, is these little like haptic sliders and everything. There's no physical buttons whatsoever on this steering wheel. Nothing. I mean, I love the Alcantara and the carbon fiber, but like I would have taken a couple of physical buttons. The little controls for the AMG controls, those are like somewhat physical, somewhat touch. So that's all right. And you can also control your regenerative braking with that too, if you click the button in on the right-hand side. So there is a button for like kind of the driving stuff, I guess probably the most important stuff, arguably, but nothing in terms of like, I can control my gauge cluster with this little slider. I can control the infotainment display with this little slider, and it works, but I find myself fiddling around with it more than I'd like, right? Especially if my daughter's like complaining or something, and you know, like I'm trying to tender to her and trying to change a setting or whatever, and it's like sometimes I'm just like, I'm gonna just smash, you know. It's like sometimes it brings out the anger. I also have 3 seats of memory seat settings. I do have a heads-up display. I don't have the cooled seat. That's an option. I have the carbon fiber dash, which is very nice, but it doesn't extend to this column here. So it's piano black, it's already fingerprinty, it's already bothering me. It would be something, if I own this vehicle, I would address immediately or just not option it at all. I like the vents, I like the circular vents and stuff like that. That's very nice. We get a really nice ambient lighting setup, as well as the Burmeister sound system. Sounds really good since the interior cabin is so quiet. No complaints there. We don't have a digital rearview mirror, which I found in the price point could have been there. I mean, this thing's loaded out with technology anyways. Would have been nice. Last thing here really is our infotainment display. No physical buttons whatsoever. You get like these little touch buttons, like the kind of quick access, so I can access the 360-degree camera, I can access the charge screen and the different quick vehicle settings and stuff like that, but that's it. My favorite button to press is the AMG button, because it brings up all the cool vehicle settings and you can scroll through them, and that's where I usually leave it on because it just looks awesome. But other than that, I have wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you name it, got built-in maps. It's a very simple infotainment display in that, like, it just kind of lays everything out. You know, you can have your seat kinetics, so your slight little massaging seats, you can turn those on too, no problem. And you can change like settings as well. Again, the settings aren't deep, they're not complicated really, but again, it's all touch. HVAC is touch. And the one thing that's interesting is I either have to ask the vehicle to turn the heated steering wheel on, or I have to turn the heated seats on, and then it will do it. There's no dedicated button anywhere for that. I don't understand. Sometimes there's like a little like knob that you can flick on and off for it. Not in this one. You got to either turn the heated seats on or ask the vehicle to do it for you. Annoying a little bit. Oh, and also you can change the different themes to your gauge cluster and your heads-up display, which is cool, but honestly, I just roll with the classic one because I think it's just normal. And again, for me, when it comes to driving these things, not really looking at gauge cluster and things like that. I am looking at the fact that it can just knock my head back whenever I want to. That's what we love. And like twisty bit here, right into it. And unfortunately there's a speed bump, so that's all we get. Because we drive these things on public roads. Oh yes, potholey public roads where you can't get above like 50 without meeting the speed bump. We love it. That's the only compromise, right? It's like, yes, it rips. Yes, it sounds decent without being a V8. It's got a good amount of tech. It can be complicated, but when are you ever going to be able to use all that horsepower? That is the question. But in terms of the dad criteria, it meets almost all of them, and it absolutely rips, which is one of the most important things for the dad speed criteria for me. So this wouldn't be a proper review without me actually talking to you about the exterior, because look, you want a family vehicle, especially me, I want a family vehicle that looks nice, and this GLC 63 looks phenomenal for being like one of those awkward like SUV slash crossover looking things, depending on what angle you look at it from. This looks really good. They nailed it with these rims here, the red performance brakes, the silver arrow kind of color that we got going on here. I like the AMG badges as well, front facing camera and parking sensors. So safety rating is going to be pretty good there, especially for, you know, spatial awareness and things like that. I love the daytime running LEDs here as well. I love the amount of cooling going on in the front. It just looks aggressive. It just looks really nice. When you look at it from the side profile, you can see that it's like kind of trying to stay like a sedan, but it's more like an SUV, but it's one of those things. And for the back, let's hop back there because we have to check out the trunk space, right? Now the back of the GLC 63 is where it kind of gives it away that it's like, no, it's absolutely an SUV. It's got a fat rear end, and I'm completely okay with that. It's kind of got the CLE taillights a little bit. I love the AMG badge as well as the red GLC badge there. Kind of shows you have something a little special. I also love these quad exhausts with this diffuser. Really, really good looking. Now, one of the qualifiers for dad speed is the trunk space. How is that? And I'll tell you, it is very good. Right now, you can see I've got my stuff from work. I just finished with my day, popped up the camera here. Here we go. So I've got a ton of space here. And again, it doesn't compromise rear room. That is something that's very, very important when it comes to owning a family vehicle. You want to have the best of both worlds as much as you possibly can. And I feel like I could fit one, possibly two strollers, or one big stroller and one small stroller. So I feel like that's going to be really good. And I've got a nice privacy screen. I think this can handle a big Costco run as well without much issue. So it's kind of got that there too. So I think we're covered. I have my little charging case in the back there for the charge cable and stuff. But honestly, I'm never plugging this thing in because I don't need to. But yeah, it's got enough space, and it's got the automatic tailgate as well, which when your hands are full, it's a pretty big help. All right, so one of the dad speed qualifications is, can you fit in the rear seat without much trouble, and is there enough space? Let's see. So I'm 5'11" for full reference. I'm gonna go ahead and hop right in here. This is my driver profile. This is how I like to normally sit. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not touching the back of the seat. I've got a ton of foot room as well. I've got my own vents back here, and I've got just enough headroom for myself, and my baby seat fits very nicely back here without compromising the front passenger seat too much. If it becomes a forward-facing car seat, I think the front passenger gets a lot more room. I will say though that the back seat here is like kind of rock hard. I mean, it's solid. And I guess when you're ripping around, you don't want anything to be too cushiony, but I feel like I would want to try another option of an interior potentially to see if there was something a little softer, but this is good. This is okay as a compromise that I could definitely live with. I think my wife could live with it as well. So in terms of back seat, it's got it, no problem. You can absolutely use this full time. So there you go. That is going to do it for my review of the GLC 63S, sort of a review, because it's more of how is it to live with a family. And the answer is really easy, surprisingly easy. I got a ton of space everywhere, and it kind of checks off all my boxes. It's quiet. It absolutely freaking rips, okay? There's just no better word to say that. It's got space, front, back, trunk, a good amount, at least enough for my needs. It's a little complicated, that is true. But you kind of start to forgive that stuff because it rips so hard. Especially when you're like an enthusiast. That's kind of what you want. I want my vehicles to rip, but I also need them to chill out when my daughter's in the car because we need to be absolutely safe. And those things happen. And if for whatever reason I wanted to be like fuel economy, like conscious or like conscious of like fuel economy, I could drive this thing in electric probably most of the time because my daily commute is so little. Like, I mean, I could make this battery work and I could plug it in and I could just do all that. Am I ever going to do that if I own it? Absolutely not. I'm going to be the absolute most irresponsible gas guzzling person that you can be because it can do that. I'm doing 14.5 liters per 100 kilometers. I think that's pretty standard and I don't care. And I expect it because it's me. I made the decision to completely not use the electric power and it's just basically keeping the battery fully charged for performance. I'm doing that. I can easily make it work on just fully electric mode. And I like that. That's what makes it like a cool family vehicle is I have the choice to make it completely chilled out 100% of the time. And I can have a week where I save probably a decent amount of money because I'm not going to be using that much fuel. And that's cool. Probably in the winter, that's what I'm going to do. I also never have to park this thing in the winter. It's got all-wheel drive. It's got really good handling. I have confidence in it. I think it'll be okay. And it's kind of heavy. It handles really well, but it's kind of heavy. So maybe that's a good thing in the wintertime. So overall, the GLC 63 SE performance is confirmed. It's absolutely got dad speed. If you're a dad like myself and you got the budget, you got the money, and you're looking for something that'll absolutely kind of feel fulfilling, absolutely not be boring, but also can be safe and have enough space for your children and stuff like that, and it's just a vehicle that you plan to buy and you want to use it all the time with your family and your kids and your wife and whatever, this can be the one. This is one of the best SUVs I think I've driven all year, potentially all time. It's definitely the fastest thing I've driven in a very, very long time. That's not an EV, not a full EV. We do have electrification, but still. Do I want the V8? Sure. Do I absolutely require it to buy this car? Not really. I mean, you can say, oh, they should bring back the V8 all you want, but until you let this thing rip your neck out, I don't think you have a leg to stand on. So that's just my thoughts. But let me know what you think. What do you think in the comments? How do you think about the spec, how it looks, how it rips, how it drives? How do you feel about the quality of the Mercedes interior? Personally, I think it's a little lackluster compared to something like BMW. Their back seats are more comfortable, stuff like that. I feel like it excels in the driving category, and I think for a lot of people that's enough. But for people who are looking for like some serious luxury, they may look elsewhere because the interiors lately have been gotten a little lackluster on overall quality, especially for a vehicle at this price point. But of course, I want to know what you think. That is going to do it for me and this awesome Mercedes SUV. Make sure you like, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this, more dad speed cars on the channel. I'll try to get my hands on them as much as I can. With that being said, I'll see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.